On this week's episode of the pod, we talk about noticing when you're feeling depleted and unmotivated and what you can do to reverse this. Let's dive in. Hello, hi, this is Live Mindfully and I'm Laurie Moore. How are you? I'm a little flat today, if I'm honest. I feel quite tired despite having had a really good sleep last night, and I feel incredibly unmotivated. I opened my calendar this morning, and if you haven't listened to my episode on to-do lists, I really encourage you to listen to that one. I no longer use to-do lists, and it's one of the greatest joys in my life to have done away with them. Now I use capture lists, and if you listen into that episode, I explain what capture lists are. So this morning I opened up my calendar and looked at everything I had scheduled in there from last Friday and Sunday afternoon, and it all just felt too hard. Today, there are a couple of things I need to get done. This podcast is one of them. I like to try and record these weekly episodes at least 1 or 2 days ahead of time, just in case. So this episode will come out at 12 a.m. on Wednesday, and it is 9:30 a.m. on Monday right now. So I wanted to record this podcast, and I had a really great episode prepared and ready to go. But it's not where I am right now. And I do want to keep this podcast as authentic to the rhythms and flows of my energy in my life. Because we all have this. We all have days where we wake up and everything seems uninspiring and unmotivating. And the only thing that has changed is our attitude toward what we wanted to achieve today. And I know why I feel flat today. We had a beautiful but busy weekend. We hosted our annual work Christmas party. It went for over 8 hours. It was so much fun. We had 12 people here, including our family, and because we work in construction, we decided to shift our Christmas party to Feb because we were all too busy to do it over Christmas. But hosting events are a lot of work. They require a lot of time and energy. And usually hosting events bring me equal amounts of joy, and I love catching up with everyone. But we have also had 5 or 6 days in a row here of 80% plus humidity and between 30 to 35 degree days. And Saturday was no exception. It was hot and sticky. So I've had the aircon running around the clock, including while I sleep, meaning I feel really congested in the mornings, and I'm hot and it's hot and my kids are hot and everyone is really uncomfortable. And notoriously, February is the hottest month and most humid month here in Brisbane, and it is always the month that makes me pray for winter. So I'm zapped. And this morning I could feel my energy waning at 7 a.m. and I could feel my patience waning. And I know today is going to be a tough day for me. I've had enough days like this in my lifetime to know today is going to be hard. And I could push through, right? In fact, in a lot of ways, that is what we're taught to do, just push through it. I have a calendar chock-a-block full of things that need to get done, and I need to just push through. But in my case, and this may not be the case for everyone, but in my case, and particularly for today, the things that are in my calendar, most of them can be pushed back. I am the one who decides how urgent these things are. So I'm not going to push through today, because today I need to refill my cup. So I dropped the kids at school and drove to a local coffee shop here in Launton that I've never been to before, and I shouted myself a coffee. And this is not something I would normally do, But there are days when I just love a store-bought coffee, and today I needed one. And it was so delicious. But I purchased it not as a road activity, but as something with a lot of awareness and purpose behind it. I wasn't just buying a coffee, I was gifting myself a coffee. Now, this act may seem small, but a 2020 study titled Nudging the Better Angels of Our Nature, a field experiment on morality and well-being, published in the journal Emotion, found that people who engaged in practices where they treated themselves to something, like an afternoon of relaxing or a nice meal, felt less exhausted. You know that saying, right? Treat others how you would treat yourself. If most of us actually abided by that saying, I don't know that it would elicit the response that we think that it might. Quite often, I think we have a tendency to treat others better than we treat ourselves. And this may not necessarily be on purpose, but we can be better at reading the emotions of others versus reading and managing the emotions we feel inside. And that's a mindfulness practice. Learning to discern what is really coming up for us. And it's hard. I still catch myself. I caught myself this morning. I thought, gosh, I feel so crap and I hate feeling this way. And I just wanted it to go away. But then I thought, hang on, Laurie, come on. You know what you need to do. So I came into stillness and I read my emotional landscape, and then I do this practice of reflection where I journey back over the previous few days to see where I can link the feeling in my body back to an experience. And of course, I always can. And this isn't an hour-long thing. This is minutes max. So I gifted myself this coffee and I drove home and decided that before I drank my coffee, I really needed to move my body. I know that when I feel this way, when I feel depleted and exhausted and lethargic and unmotivated, I need to move and I need to be in nature. These are some of the things that really fill my cup. So I grabbed my dog and took her for a walk around the block. And not a let's get moving, go for a run type movement, because that is not what I need today. We went for the world's slowest walk. I mean, we were virtually barely moving. And, you know, quite often I have a chocolate Labrador and she is crazy. When you walk her, she just pulls and pulls and it drives me nuts. But I've noticed that when we go for walks where I let her stop and smell everything she wants to smell, she is so much calmer. And so that's the walk we went for. She smelt everything. I gazed at the sky. I took really deep breaths and I allowed myself to daydream. And if you listened to last week's episode, you will know that daydreaming is one of my favorite things to do, and it is one of the ways we can take a purposeful break, a break that actually refreshes your brain and increases your energy, productivity, and ability to focus. Now, I could have pushed through. I could have sat down, recorded the podcast I already had prepared. I would have made a million mistakes, and instead of that task taking me an hour, it would have taken me 2 or more. My frustration would have increased along with my cortisol. My sympathetic nervous system would engage. I would end up having a really bad day. I would have spent the day shoulding all over myself. Oh, I should have done this and I should have done that. I didn't get anything done that I needed to. Everything didn't go my way. Right? We've had days like this, haven't we? My negative emotions would have been heightened. I would have had no patience. I would have ended up screaming at my kids and probably my husband. And then I get to finish my day with a healthy dose of guilt, shame, and regret. Sounds like a good day of fun, huh? Or, or, oh, God, that sounds like an awful day. I could do what I've done. I could take a moment to recognize that today I don't feel good. I'm tired. It's been a big weekend and an even bigger week weather-wise. And it's zapped my energy. And instead of pushing through, I decided to bring in some nourishing practices that refill my cup. And these weren't big things, and in total, maybe they pushed my day back by an hour, max. But they are things that make me feel better. Going for a slow walk in nature, buying myself a cup of coffee, giving myself guilt-free permission to free up my calendar. And this may not be something we can do every time. In fact, likely not. There are going to be days where pushing through is the requirement, but not every day is a day like that. And it is better for our health and the health and well-being of those around us if we are able to choose kinder ways of being to ourselves. By listening to ourselves and our needs, by bringing things into our days when we need them to fill our cup. And some of us, we don't even know what fills our cup. And if that feels like it could be you, take some time this week to notice what really brings up those feelings of gratitude and love within you. Maybe you love fresh flowers, and if you're feeling low, go and buy yourself a beautiful bunch. Trust me, the benefits will feel just as good every time you look at them, whether you bought them for yourself or someone else did. Maybe filling your cup looks like an extra session at the gym or swimming laps in a pool or doing yin yoga. Maybe filling your cup looks like having a mental health day and reading a good book. Maybe filling your cup is talking with your mum or spending an hour shopping. Maybe it's dancing like crazy to your favorite song or doing 5 minutes of stillness. But if you don't know how to fill your cup, then it's time you did. Because you will feel so much better when you know how to nourish yourself. Burnout? That won't happen to you. Because you know how to give back to yourself. You know when to stop and take a break. You know how to say no to an overscheduled calendar on days when overscheduling is the last thing you feel like coping with. Anne Lamott, who's an American novelist, has this little quote. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. I want to end today's episode with a little gratitude practice. Wherever you are, eyes opened or closed, just take a moment to bring into the forefront of your mind something that has happened today that makes you feel grateful. Maybe you're grateful for the sunshine or for the rain, for a loved one. Perhaps you're grateful for the breath in your lungs. Whatever it is. Feel this feeling of warmth in your belly. The warmth of gratitude. And then feel this warmth spread throughout your whole body. I want to thank you for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed it, please share it across your socials, rate, review, and subscribe. Have a wonderful week. Listen to your needs. Listen to your heart. And until next time, take good care of yourself.